Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to Moscow. Now today I'm going to take you for a bit of a walk around a Russian typical shopping mall. Now I know a lot of people have put different comments about this in the previous videos, but to me this is typical. This is a very big shopping mall in Moscow. There's over 40 malls within a 60-minute drive of where I'm standing right now. So for me, this is typical. It's also the typical shopping mall I would come shopping to if I want to come and buy something. So we're going to take you for a walk around. We're going to see what it's like, and we're going to see how empty or full it is. Let's have a look, shall we? Now, right at the start of the video here, this is kind of a bit of a poignant place where I'm standing here, because roughly a year ago from today, I was standing here making a video showing this same shopping mall. Now, obviously since then, IKEA has closed. If anyone knows the famous Swedish flag colors right there of IKEA, it's pretty much done and dusted. This is the car park where IKEA shoppers would park, and also it's one of the entrances to the mall just off over here. And there is nobody here. The funny thing is, over in the distance over there, behind that crane, is actually the customer service for IKEA. It's actually still open if you have any, I don't know, returns or exchanges. I don't know what you would do, but IKEA right here is no longer. Now, if you aren't from Russia and you're not aware of the brand MKAD, it's a shopping center chain which has 14 different shopping malls throughout Russia, not just in Moscow. They're in other major cities around Russia. They're actually owned by IKEA. So this entire shopping mall is owned by IKEA, and that's primarily why they're still open and trading, because essentially IKEA, although they're trying to leave Russia, they're obviously a little bit hands tied because they've got such investments here. Now, I just want to show you this flagpole right here, because it's kind of interesting. In previous videos when I've been here, that third flagpole there would have had the Swedish flag hanging there, or the IKEA flag, and now just the Russian flag is there, then the flag of Moscow. It's kind of interesting that MKAD has taken down that third flag. As we see the Bobcats in action today, it's been snowing for 2 days in a row here, so these guys are working overtime to clear the entrances so that everybody can still come in, even though we'll see there's very few cars parked here and very few people coming in and out, but they're still doing the job that's necessary even with nobody around. So walking on inside here, this is kind of one of about 5 different entrances. This is probably considered the main entrance. And it's actually it's a single level shopping mall, but there's a kind of a second level here, kind of over the top of the food court, with this kind of big glass and wood structure. It's quite impressive when you first walk in. Let's have a walk around now. I'm kind of curious really how many people are here and how many shops are still open or not open in the 12 months since I originally visited and made one of the first videos on the channel. Well, Lacoste is here. There is so far very few people around though. Now, like almost every shopping mall throughout Russia, no matter where you are, all of the main kind of Western brands are here. So KFC, Burger King, there's also Kuznetsy Tochka upstairs as well. I just want to point out also Subway is open here. There is literally just a few students over there having a lunch. Otherwise, it's pretty much empty. Now, walking around the middle part of this atriumed area where all the food outlets are, there is actually quite a few walk-in, sit-down restaurants here. My wife and I, when we come here, we like to go to Mensa, which is a kind of sushi, Chinese, Asian fusion kind of a restaurant. It's very nice, and there's this huge middle section here with all the tables and chairs. There is really not too many people here though. And then over on this right hand side, there's a few of the other kind of fairly typical fast food or takeaway kind of places. Teremok, Po' Boy, Korchka Katochka, There is also Sabora pizza over there, if you want Zdravstvuyte. And if you want original New York pizza, it's kind of survived the test of time, this Saboro. I'm not too sure how many people really associate this brand with a US brand of pizza place, but you can see here just how quiet it feels. This is a big building as well, these huge roofs. There is a company somewhere in Russia that sells these megadome roofs, and they do a good job selling them to shopping centers, let me tell you. Now, I had to come up to this upper level here to point out the different food outlets here. So, Kozni Tochka, this was where McDonald's was. And this actually wasn't open for a long, long time, even after other Kozni Tochkas opened. And this one was kind of one of the last ones in the network to open. So, it's got a few people in there. And then KFC here. Again, this is another one that's sort of fairly interesting because this is trading as KFC. Of course, we can see the sign right up here. But at some point, this is going to change and become Rustic, which is an original Russian brand where KFC bought the Rustics and changed them to KFCs. And then going forward, they're going to change them back again. Now, Burger King hasn't changed in the 9 years that I've been coming to this shopping mall. It's the same place, same location. Maybe the burgers have gone up a few rubles in price, but this is exactly as it was, unchanged. And again, it's not too busy in there. And I think from this upper level here, you get a good idea of the space of this big restaurant and food court area. It is very impressive how big it is and how big I mean, the shopping center is called Mega. So you'd expect it to be mega, right? I mean, and it definitely is. Now, this is kind of interesting. So originally, this was Baskin Robbins, or Baskin Robin. And there's actually still the BR right there on one of the stickers. And then the ice cream, of course, in all the fridges and all of the different condiments. But it's now called BR and Ice. And I haven't seen this in any shopping mall until today. So that's kind of interesting that BR and Ice isn't. Oh, Baskin Robbins is on the video up there. Oh, we just missed it. So I wonder if it's undergone a rebranding to hide the word. Now it's called BR and Ice. So this shopping center in general is a very big walk around one level center here. It's got huge high ceilings. And I see here L'Occitane is definitely open. There is even just the lady in there on her own. But just generally looking at the center down here, we can see how quiet it is. And all the shops are open on this corridor though, but just nobody around. Now just for a minute, I want to talk about the word typical because I put it in a lot of videos. Now, having lived in Russia for 9 years or more than 9 years now, I go to a lot of typical places. So typical shopping centers, typical food stores, typical supermarkets. And that's why I call it that, because people would come to this kind of shopping center to come shopping. People would go to another brand of shopping center in another district and region of Moscow and Moscow region. So I call this typical because this is somewhere that my wife and I would come to come shopping. Obviously when IKEA was here, it was more of a draw. When some of the other brands were open, it was even more of a reason to come here. So this is one of the other brands of stores that changed name also quite a few months ago now. So this was Reserved, and now it's called RE. And again, it's very quiet in there. Just the normal prices. There's some specials sort of tagged at the back of the store. But this was actually kind of sold out to a Chinese consortium. They never really kind of announced the name or the brand or who they were, who kind of took over all these stores. But for me, they look exactly the same, except that sign right out the front. So hidden among all the palm trees here is Sabu. Sabu Sabu. Now this was Crocs, and Crocs is back open. So everybody's happy. They can still get Crocs in Russia. It's kind of nice that this store was also closed for a lot of months. And you could walk through here and it was kind of, the shutters were down, the boxes were out the front. But now it's reopened, so everybody's happy. And this would have been the original entrance and exit into the mall from IKEA. And now it's not here. All the windows are gone as well. So there used to be kind of the displays of IKEA. And there's nothing here now. And actually there was even a pharmacy on this corner here. I've just noticed that now. I didn't walk in this way. But even the pharmacy's not there any longer. There was a kind of a, you know, like all day open pharmacy that you could sort of shop in. And my wife even bought headache tablets there once or twice, you know. So I guess just because there's no foot traffic here, it's the reason why they had to close. And continuing on walking here, it doesn't get any better in terms of shops open down this kind of wing here. Pull and Bear is still closed. Now I'm trying to remember this store on this side. I think this was the Levi store, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember now if that was what this store was right here. Now there is Levi stores open through Moscow under J&S brand, but this one hasn't decided to continue trading. So this far end of the shopping center has a lot of the electronics and the phone store retailers. So we see there's Samsung, this is Megaphone, and then there's Sony, Honor, and then M-Video, which is a very big chain electrical goods store, home goods store, has almost everything you need. And what's kind of interesting, and I've just noticed this now, is they don't have the second roller door open here, which would be the main entrance where you'd come in to look at all the phones. And you can just see behind all the phone tables set up there, but they pretty much, maybe they have less staff or less people shopping. I'm not sure, but that's kind of interesting that they've got the roller shutter closed here, where the telephone, you know, this would be the big draw card of the place, and then you can't get into the main part to see the phones. And just looking back from the other direction here, you can see Xiaomi, which is a very big phone and electrical goods kind of retailer. Not probably so much known in a lot of Western countries, but here in Russia they're very well known. This is a Restore, which is where you can buy Apple products. You can see iPhone 14 Pro right on the poster there, so they're definitely here. And then Honor. Now this one is really interesting right here. I kind of had to have a bit of a double take because I thought this was Dyson, and it's called Ramez. It looks awfully like the Dyson kind of setup with the stick vacuums right there, but Ramez. Now, if you're not from Russia, maybe you don't know the brand Curry. I know it's in a few different European cities, but Curry is a big multi-brand shoe store, and there's also a lot of other kind of things now beyond shoes. But it's kind of like Payless shoes or Spend Less shoes in Australia, in America. But this was where the Marks and Spencer store was originally. And I've noticed in a lot of the shopping malls around Moscow region now that this Curry is coming into the shopping centers. Normally they wouldn't be in these bigger mega malls, but good on them. They've got a huge space here. And over here on this left-hand side, this was Adidas or Adidas. Adidas, I call it Adidas. Please let me know in the comments. I do find it interesting walking around that a lot of the kind of help booths are all closed. This place 5 years ago, 7 years ago was hustle bustle every day of the week. And I'm coming here today and it's kind of like the polar opposite. But this was also on the right hand side here where Reebok was, and it's now Sneaker Box. I don't want to say Sneaker Box. But yeah, it's exactly the Reebok store, just with slight different spelling on the front here. And this whole aisle here was where all the different shoe retailers were on the left and the right here. And this was the Nike store. Am I saying it right now? Let me know in the comments. Nike. In Australia we call it Nike. But this is now definitely been kind of vacated. And again, just very empty down this end here where all these different shoe retailers were. Now, just for a second or two, I'm a bit distracted by the ice cream. So let's get back to looking at the shopping center, shall we? This was the big Skechers store. And now there's no Skechers here. So you can kind of see here, this kind of run of empty stores in a row here. And just how quiet it feels. Yeah, this has definitely been vacated and empty. And then Looking around again still, it's just staff everywhere. So of course, with a few of the brands of shoe stores not being here, being very typically around the world, it's not necessarily that you'd go to one of the Nike or Reebok or Adidas stores. You'd end up at one of these big, huge multi-brand stores. This is Sportmeister or Sportmaster. And this place is massive. This has got every sporting goods item that you'd possibly need. Of course, it's winter now, so all the jackets are out and coats and snow gear. But they have more than enough things if you are needing one of the brands of products in here just by kind of simply walking in. They've even got all of the bikes, any kind of sporting equipment as well. And it's a massive place. And here's another interesting store if you haven't maybe seen some of my other videos. I think this might be the first time I've shown this. This is Bootwood. Now this was Timberland, and it really is Timberland. Everything is the same. Everything is exactly how it was. I think actually even at some point this didn't close and it was always open. You can see there, nice big Timberland signage right at the entrance and all the very famous shoes on the wall there. So Bootwood, good job. Now I had to think for a minute, this I guess underwear, right? I don't know the word under. How many under stores do you know in the world? But this was Karl Lagerfeld, which is a very well-known perfume and designer brand. But they've reopened under the word under. Now I do know this brand from America, having worked over there for a lot of years and gone to the shopping centers in America. It's a US Polo Association. So USPA, as they kind of like to call it, looks exactly the same, except up here, AR Fashion. So there's another slight change. So Pirat Marmeland is a candy store where it's all pay-by-weight candy. They've also got big lollipops you can see there in the entrance, but this is a very tiny one. These are all over Moscow region, in every city you go to in Russia. And this was the Lindt store previously. Now I'm curious, where did all that Lindt chocolate go? There was so much in there when they closed the doors. So this is kind of the back exit of the shopping center where you'd go to the lower underground parking or the back above ground parking off in the distance. There's also the big cinema complex right here as well. Cinema Park with IMAX. Then over here was H&M. And they're still pretty much exactly how they were. Now, going back quite a few months ago, this place was open and they were trading for quite a long time after they said they closed, they reopened, and now they're definitely not open. But there's kind of a few stores kind of filling in the gaps here. On this side, Collins, and then Be Free. So there's a few stores that are kind of replacing the ones that are going away, but still, this huge open area here just feels so empty and almost echoey to a point. Hello Winter. Now, one of the stores here has got a nice kind of display right here. I'm not sure that jacket's very appropriate for the snow outside today, but hello Winter. And then here we have Stars Coffee, which was Starbucks before. Now it does look a little bit more closed off this than what it used to be. I notice also one of the corners over here is not as filled out as it was. And I've sat here a few times with my wife over the years having Starbucks, although it's not the cheapest place for a coffee in Moscow by a long way, but it's definitely here, just not so busy anymore. Now, no, this is not really to do with the video that I'm filming, but this shopping center's got some nice little extra features, but one of the things, it's got a nice water fountain here where you can actually get the filtered water, fill up your drink cup. I'm not too sure how many people really use it, but it's a nice feature of the shopping center as we can keep on walking. This most of the stores, one of the reasons this shopping center generally is quieter as well is it doesn't have as big a non-retail offering. I mean, of course, IKEA was here, Auchan the supermarket, but there isn't a lot of reasons to come here beyond the clothing stores. As we see here, Karl Lagerfeld. So this Karl Lagerfeld's got quite a few different locations in this mall. I wonder if they've took over some of the other existing kind of store locations where people have left. It's very, it just seems quiet walking around. I mean, I've been here a lot before. Although it's not close to where I live, we would come here because we kind of like getting out of town from where we live and coming to a different shopping center. But just people, there's no one around. And this is one of the other areas here where there's quite a lot of stores closed. So this is the Zara, kind of one of the other Zara stores. Again, this shopping center has multiple stores from the same brand. That right ahead there was the Chanel store, which is no longer the Chanel store. And then over here, this one right in front of us, was Victoria's Secret. And it was this huge, bright store, you know, that had just lights just beaming at you. And now it's just a big signage with a bicycle and stores kind of coming soon. And then over here on the left was what was Uniqlo. And of course, Uniqlo's not here. There is one of the ladies here at one of the stands, which is nice. But just looking off in the distance again, there's a few people wandering in, wandering out, but it's really not what it used to be, this shopping mall, I can assure you. Now these few stores in a row here, I don't remember what were the ones right here, so excuse me for not knowing every single location that used to be here. But we're coming now towards the kids section and the kind of wing of the shopping center where all the kids stores are kind of grouped together. And here is Mia Kubikov, or World of Bricks. We know this very well as being the Lego store, and essentially barring the signage, it really still is the Lego store. And the staff are in there pointing out all the new products and new stock, and it's as full as it ever was. Now coming around to this kids section here, I was really hoping that this big Mother Care store would have had the signage up here for Mother Bear. Now a friend sent me a photo of another shopping center where the Mother Bear signage was already up, but in this one it's not. It's a huge store, and this was closed for months and months, like I don't know how, 8-9 months, and now it's back here again. We're right here by the kids' play equipment, and this huge 2-level children's store. It's kind of like a department store purely for kids. So clothing, toys, whatever you like. It's just dominated. It's an only kids kind of children's world, as it sort of says there. And there's this very big pirate ship here, and you can see all the parents have got their kids running around and playing. They've got to take their shoes off because it's carpeted, but the kids can kind of just run amok on this big pirate ship right here. Now I do get asked in a few comments about how do you feel about filming in shopping centers and in stores. Now it's completely allowed to film in any public place in Russia. Obviously there's a few exceptions, but in like this sort of store where we are here, shopping center, completely allowed. There's obviously a lot of security as normal. They're kind of at every exit, they're roaming around. Every store has its own security as well, but it's completely fine for me to shoot. One of the things that's not technically allowed is to film people or children or faces of people. But obviously it's very difficult in a shopping center, so I do my best to avoid, especially over the kids section back there, as much as I can. Now I messed up the name of this store about 3 times when I did it in another video. So this was where Sephora used to be, and now it's kind of under other management ownership is kind of the way they've kind of worded it. But it's really not anywhere near as busy as it used to be when it was originally Sephora. And now it's essentially exactly the same. The brands and all the products are exactly the same, the stock, but it just doesn't have that same feeling like Sephora used to have. And it looks like, as it stands, Nespresso isn't gonna reopen, or they're just saying that they're closed for technical reasons. Now there is quite a lot of the products still in there exactly how they were, except the lights are off. And we're just walking down this other walkway here. It's not really any better. You know, one thing, having not grown up in Russia and known some of the brands, there's obviously a big mix of Russian brands and Western brands. So, there's still a lot of shops to come shopping at beyond the main Western brands that have left Russia. So, it's not like you can't find something to buy in here. There's definitely shops where you can get things. So it looks like finally the Gap store has closed in this particular shopping mall. The signage is gone, and then the shopping center's kind of put up these kind of temporary window shutters, I guess. But you can still see the same colors of what Gap used to be. Now, just here off on the left, there's a couple of stores that look like they've opened, and especially this second one here, Apricot. This was actually where the Banana Republic store was, which is kind of associated with Gap. And of course, that's no longer there, but another shoe store has opened. Another shoe store in Russia. How many shoe stores do we need? But this was where Banana Republic used to be. Now, as I keep walking around, there is definitely pockets of people in here, and it does have some shoppers, some. But generally, the shopping center is very quiet. It's very empty. I mean, there isn't even a few thousand people walking around the whole shopping center generally when I walk around. So it's not what it used to be years ago. It just doesn't have that same feeling. Even if I go to my local shopping center, which is much closer to my house than this one, it's just busier. And it seems that the IKEA brand and the ownership of this mall, although they're trying their best to refill the sort of stores that have left, it's just not got that same feeling as it had years ago. So along with IKEA being the main tenant in this shopping center, Auchan is the other main major tenant in here. And this place is massive. This is a true hypermarket. It's way beyond the size of a supermarket. The coolest thing about Auchan is they've got this little cafe right at the entrance here. So you can actually stand outside, you can have some snacks, have a coffee right here. And they've got very inexpensive food if you want to have just a basic lunch or a snack. They've got all the salads here and all the cooked foods. Now, I'm not going to do an entire walk around of this place because it's an entirely separate video. You can see, well, you can't even see how big it is. It goes on. There's 81 checkouts in this store from end to end. It's just massive. But we'll just sort of briefly walk through and just see how it feels. So if you've not heard of the brand Auchan before, it's actually a French company. They're obviously based in France, but they've got stores all over Russia, not just here in Moscow, and they're typically just massive. They're usually connected to some kind of a shopping center, like here at Mega or at a different brand of shopping center chain, and you kind of come and do it's like a whole day you can spend here between going to the mall, would have been going to IKEA, come shopping here. Your day is done and dusted. Yeah, I think the camera doesn't do this place justice. Now, this guy has been in my shot about 12 times today. He seems to be like following me everywhere I walk. It's like I've just walked in the snow and he wants to clean my footprints behind me. But they have very big aisles and it just sort of goes on and on. So it's not just food and grocery. It also has household goods. It's got a garden section, clothing. It's got a section for electronics, stuff for your car, everything you possibly need. And you can see how stacked and full it is. This is the tea section over here, tea and coffee, and it just goes on. Now I'm just going to show you here. This is a very typical cart that you'd get when you come to Auchan, or even when I go to my Globus store. People like to get these kind of hand carts. It also limits you to how much you're going to buy as well. You know, if I fill my basket, I've done my shopping. It's not that, you know, you don't want to buy as much. They've still got the normal shopping carts, but they're very, very popular. You'll see everybody has these little miniature shopping carts. It's very interesting that it's very normal in Russia to do that. I mean, especially a lot of people who don't have transportation, so you're going to catch the bus from here. There is very little housing in this area. Residential is pretty much not within about, well, 30, 40 minutes from here, 30 minutes at least. So a lot of people will drive here, but where you're going to come on public transport, you're only limited to what you can carry. Have a look at how big the alcohol section is. It kind of is a lot of aisles and a ton of beer. Now we've ended obviously Christmas, now we're into February. I'm not sure what the theme is now. This is their temporary kind of pop-up area. It's got a bit of a mixed bag of things. It's got the stuff for the pets. It's kind of a pet section on one side. And then I think this is gifts for men on this side over here. We've got a holiday coming up next week, I believe. So that's what all this big temporary area is here in the middle section. So I have done a few different walkarounds in Auchan. If you want to see a specific video about it, let me know in the comments. I can come back and do a full walk around. Here's all the kids section, all the baby foods, diapers, nappies. I can do a sort of separate tour of this place. When I did a video just before Christmas and New Year, I kind of did one just showing all of the holiday decorations and all of the holiday gifts that were available. Here's the section here with all of the stuff for stationery, school books, I don't know, learning books. What would you call them? And then here we're kind of walking now into the general area with all of the home goods, towels, things for the bathroom, kitchen, and then over here all the clothing. Just walking around this kind of back section of Auchan here, you can see how crazy big this water section is. It's huge. And they have very big, deep aisles. I mean, you can shop close to home where you live. Like, for instance, where I live, I can walk to 5 different supermarkets within about a 7 or 8 minute walk. Or I can kind of venture out here to a shopping center in the regions and come to Auchan like this and do my shopping. But the fact that I don't have a car and it's just convenient for me to walk to the closest supermarket, what do I need hypermarkets for? Really, I mean, do I need 72 types of water? Do I need, 21 different types of seeds? There's the seeds right in front of us here, the pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds. As we come towards the kind of meat section and fruit and veg, it's very quiet in here, I must admit. Again, this is another place where you could come any day of the week and it's busy. Doesn't mean it's different on a Monday to a Sunday, but there just isn't the people in here. It's almost just a strange feeling. I'm sure if you're Russian watching this, you'll completely understand with me that Auchan is not what it used to be 5 years ago, 7 years ago. It used to be busy, it used to be good value, it used to be cheap. And I find slowly Auchan's prices are not what they were 5 years ago. They've got the choice, there's no doubting that. There's a few more people in the meat section here. But it's just not what it used to be from years gone by. Here's my guy again. Seems like he's following me everywhere. So I want to thank everybody for watching this walk around here at Mega in Teply Stan. Teply Stan is the area where we are, by the way. If you're from Moscow, you may know it. If you're not from Moscow, maybe it's just another suburban name. But Mega Teply Stan. Yeah, thanks for watching. Post a comment, let me know what you think. Maybe about some of the brands that have opened and closed, how the shopping center feels, how is it compared to where you live in the world. This is a very big supermarket, by the way. It's tiring just walking in here. Put a comment, again, put a thumbs up. I'm not gonna do a take 2. Thumbs up if you like the video. I will get a few thumbs down. I can't avoid that, so I have to take the good with the bad. I'm gonna put another video for you to watch right here. Maybe you can watch the Christmas walk around of this Auchan so you can get an idea of what it feels like closer to the holidays. Yeah, thanks everybody. I'm heading home now. I'm not gonna go on another adventure today. I'm gonna head home and have some dinner. Bye everybody.